Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. Well, we're still at the archery range. We're going to be looking again at this metaphor that he's using here in verse 5. We're in Psalm 127, verse 5. Hey there, this is Daily Dose Radio, your home for organic Bible study that's filled with arrows. We're just all arrows this week. We've been looking at Psalm 127, which is a psalm for those ascending, a psalm of Solomon, and it's been about sovereignty. The people are moving up, they're in their trek towards the temple. And now we're going to be talking about the sovereignty of God, and we looked at verse 1, 2, 3, 4 yesterday, and today we come to verse 5, and I'd like to read this from my translation. Blessed is the man who has filled his quiver with them. They will not be ashamed when they speak with the enemies in the gate. That's my translation, and we have the word blessed. Of course, that's one of the key words in the Psalms. We've seen the word blessed so many times. Of course, it's the first word. I guess that's one reason why we see it as a key word. It's the first word in Psalm 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man. And here we have it again. Blessed is the man. So this man, who is he? Well, he's the man who we had up in verse 4. The mighty man who has a handful of arrows. These are the sons of one's youth. And we have those sons described for us in verse 3. They're a portion assigned by the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. So children here, we're talking about sons or children. So they are assigned by the Lord. They're like arrows. They demonstrate the strength of the house. And the man who has them is blessed. So that's where we come to here today in verse 5. Blessed is the man who has filled his quiver with them. They will not be ashamed when they speak with the enemies in the gate. So the man who has his quiver filled with them would be the man who has lots of children, right? True, but I would like to take a different step in this particular verse today and think about, for you who are believers, let's think about just for a second, what have you got your quiver full of? When you stand before the Lord, what will you be able to present to Him? Because, those that we reach in Jesus' name throughout this life become children of the living God. They are adopted into His family. They find their place at the table, just like Mephibosheth did at David's table, for no reason of their own, only because of the mercy of God. But there has to be someone to preach. There has to be someone to lead them. There has to be someone to be the revelator in their life. And so how many of those do you have in your quiver? People that have come to the Lord because of your ministry. You see, blessed is the man who has filled his quiver full of them. Those children, let's talk about those children for a second. When you stand before the Lord, what will you be able to present? Will there be souls for you to present to the Lord? And you won't be ashamed when you speak with the enemy in the gate, because the enemy won't have anything to say against you. Now, that little phrase there, with the enemies in the gate, remember the gate was the place where judgment took place. The elders would gather in the gate of a city. People would come to court there. They would have things decided there by the judges, the elders who were in that gate. All kinds of transactions occurred there. Go back to the book of Ruth, and you see the redemption of the land and the family of Naomi's house was redeemed there in the gate in front of the elders. So lots of things happen in the gates. And if enemies come and attack, if they come and attack not with sword and spear, but if they come and attack with words and accusation, and they take up the law against you, well, you're not going to be ashamed when they speak, because you have a quiver full of sons who will stand at your defense. So for the Christian, when the enemy stands up and says, what kind of a Christian are you? He's going to accuse you one day, and he'll stand at that bar and accuse you. What will you have to present? Well, here's what I am. Here's what I've done. These sons that have come to glory, these ones are in my quiver. Blessed is the man who has his quiver filled with them. So go out today, make disciples, spread the word of the gospel. Whether you see lots and lots of people come to the Lord or not, be faithful to do that, because the Lord will give you that which you are allowed, that which He wants you to have. By His sovereign grace, He will give it to you. Okay, join me again next week. We're going to look at Psalm 128 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.